Hey everybody, it's Kenneth again. If you watched some of my videos so far, you will maybe know that my channel is mostly about this niche genre shoegaze, a genre that started around the 80s with a scene that celebrates itself. This genre is mostly focused on guitar and guitar effects. I haven't found a lot of information about bass guitar so far on YouTube, so I thought I would make a video about this. Shoegaze is very famous for its guitar layers. The famous word for it is the wall of sound. That means you're layering guitar chords and also guitar melodies. In the end, there has to be a wall of sound. But sometimes I see that many musicians focus too much on supporting that wall of sound with a bass which has the same note of the basic chord. But actually the bass can support a song with melodies. You maybe also know the band Joy Division and the bass player of Joy Division who plays melodies on his bass like. Although he's playing a melody here, he is focusing on just one chord, which is the bass note here, and he plays the melody at the same time. But I want to show you ways today how you can improve the whole song by choosing melodies instead of just eighth notes like. It could be much more interesting and fun to play bass. In the examples I show you today, I used a green screen just because I try to experiment with some camera stuff here. I hope you don't mind that sometimes you won't see my D string here because, yeah, I don't know, it got eaten by the green screen effect. Also, sometimes you see some glitches. Yeah, I'm not a professional in that topic, but it was really fun to do it. Yeah, I hope you will have fun and you will learn something. Oh, my plaque. And you will maybe improve your bass lines after seeing this video, so let's start. I want to start in the 80s in Scotland with a band that is called COCTEAU Twins. In COCTEAU Twins you can say every single part, like the vocals, the guitars, the beat and also the bass are standing out all at the same time. I want to talk about the song Peppermint Pick. I don't want to focus too much on the guitar effects here, but I still want to tell you what I used for the guitars very quickly. I just played my Fender Jaguar. I figured out these two chords and I shredded them a bit with some distortion in my virtual amp by Quasar. And to make it sound so psychedelic, you just need a chorus effect, and to turn up the modulation rate, it's almost like a tremolo-like chorus, a very liquid sound. I just recorded it twice, put it left and right, and here we have our COCTEAU Twins guitars. I could play these notes over the chords. This would be the easiest thing to do, but Robin Guthrie decided to play this melody here, and I think it's really inspiring. I don't want to tell you too much about the techniques, I just want to inspire you and to show you how you could use your bass in the end. This main theme consists out of two parts, each has two chords. Instead of just playing two bass notes in every part, he decided to play a whole melody over it, and this is what I think makes this song super interesting. I want to show you how it sounds in the context in the end. Next time you're bored with a bass line, try to choose higher notes, not just the deep notes because they are fat sounding. You can also get very much emotion out of the high strings. Yeah, try to play around with half steps, like And also don't be afraid to use bass chords, like this is a bass chord. Robin Guthrie used it here in combination with a half note. This could work for your song as well. Another really interesting but still underrated band from Boston, Massachusetts created some very brilliant shoegaze music. Their band name is Drop 19s. One of their first demo albums is called Mayfield. Unfortunately, this album has a really low quality. You can really say it's a demo album, but there are so many brilliant ideas and songs on it that I want to focus on one specific bass line here. The second song of their album is called Shannon Waves. It's really groovy and I really like it. It's so fresh. It sounds like this. The Drop 19s also use a lot of wall of sound, so that means they have several guitar players and they're layering lead guitar notes and also whammy bar sounds with a lot of chorus, distortion and delay, and with this they create this ethereal atmospheric sound. In this song are 3 guitars, one bending guitar which is like another lead guitar that plays a simple melody, also using a lot of chorus and delay. I just panned this guitar to left and right and played it 2 times. And another lead guitar, also using a lot of chorus and delay. I also used my Kuasa VST plugin here. Really great plugin. If you are interested in it, I left you an affiliate link in my description below. The bass sounds you hear in this video are also created with this very great plugin. I love it to create bass sounds at home and to instantly fix my ideas with it. When you listen to this guitar wall of sound, it's already quite interesting, but it's not a song. The song is just created by the bass in the end, and for sure by the rhythm. Drums and bass just belong together in rock music. The groove is basically coming from the drum rhythm for sure, but the bass supports this drum rhythm with this very nice and fresh melody. This is how it sounds in the end. What can you get out of this bass line? Let's say your song is written with a bass note in A. Why not starting with the higher A, like instead of... Maybe you know the song Tainted Love, which is like... You could say the song consists out of the same notes. So this is a way you could play the song, but the Drop 19's bass player decided to go for the higher notes. I also like how he plays the A note a little earlier than you would expect it, like. Then again. I really like it, so it's a really groovy bass line and we can learn a lot from it. The next bass line I want to talk about is from an album that was released in 1993 by the band SEEFEEL. They're quite different from the other shoegaze bands as they mix electronic music with rock music, I'd say. So it's kind of a mixture of techno, dub, dream pop and ambient music. They don't focus on writing lyrics or stuff like that. It's more music that serves a specific mood. The song that I want to talk about here is called Clique with a C and an L. It's consisting out of 4 notes. This would be the simple way to play the song. The tempo is very similar to techno. What I do for the sound of the bass is I use my tone knob here on the bass to reduce the high frequencies, so that I have this dubby, almost reggae-ish bass sound. This is the bass line simplified. Maybe they programmed the bass. I'm not really sure if they have a real bass player, but as soon as you play the bass the way they do, it's kind of pretty hard to do it. I always do this face when I play this because it's kind of hard for me. It doesn't feel natural because there are these jumps between the notes. I always have to use my head to mark the spots where I have to jump to the next note. What's also cool about this bass line is they mute the note at some point before they jump to the next one, like. These bass lines that I show you here in the video are mainly played in a loop. Mainly it's all played just around 4 or 5 chords. That's exactly what I try to do with this video. I want to show you ways how you can make people remember your bass lines. Like it's known from pop music through repetition. When I heard the song Clique for the first time, I was totally hooked by the bass line. Just because it was so repetitive, just because it was so groovy, and in combination with this techno beat, I'd say, and the ambient guitar sphere, I couldn't resist and just dance to it, you know? When you play just simple quarter notes, I doubt that anyone will remember your bass line. But just because of these jumps and muting the notes at several points, you can almost sing along with the bass line, like. Feels a bit like Bugs Bunny had a good day in the forest. But anyways, it's very cool, especially combined with the atmospheric guitars. I used reverse reverb into a phaser effect of my Zoom MS-70 CDR. I played just 3 different guitar layers consisting out of 2 notes each. And for the bass sound I used the Quasar amplification 360 again. So listen for yourself, this is how it sounds in the end. So what can we learn from this bass line? Let's say you have a specific idea for 3 or 4 bass notes. Try to challenge yourself, make the bass line a little harder to play, but try to imagine a melody that you could whistle to, you know? And if you want, just play it in a loop. Just 4 notes, but definitely not boring. The next bass line is played by Alex Gehring from the Austin, Texas band RINGO DEATHSTARR. It's from an album that was released in 2014, the album God's Dream, and it's the last song, which is called Convertable. On their vinyl they released a song that is called Just You instead of Convertable. So if you know RINGO DEATHSTARR, I don't know if you know this song, it depends on which record you have, I guess. I think this song is also not on Spotify, but it's on YouTube. I link all the songs that I show you here in my description below, so make sure you check out the songs in the end. What I really love about Convertable is this is a shoegaze song that is super unusual. The bass line is played with fuzz in combination with some chorus. I use here the clone chorus on my Zoom MS-70 CDR. And I used my Quasar bass amp again. You could say this song is completely driven by the bass line. Elliot Fraser, the guitarist by RINGO DEATHSTARR, is playing some atmospheric chords by using a lot of delay and reverb. And Alex Gehring just sings along with this super great hook. And from here, a loop is starting. The only exception in the song is the C part where she plays something like. It's super easy, but what makes the song so groovy is definitely the rhythm of the drums. They are super punchy and absolutely well produced. I have to admit, for my demo here, I used a sample from the original song of the drums to create the same feeling here. So hopefully Ringo DEATHSTARR and YouTube won't take this the wrong way. I just want to teach some bass here. Everything else I created on my own. This drum beat is just not copyable, especially not with VST plugins, I'd say. If you are able to copy this with VST plugins, please send me a link how you do this. I would really like to know. I think there is no easy way to play this bass line. First, I thought it would consist out of 3 chords, like... But I think Alex Gearing just had the idea for this melody and she tried to create it on a bass. Just hear for yourself how it would sound in the end. This is a typical bass hook, I'd say. Without this bass, the song would just be a very powerful drum groove with some ambient sphere. But because of this bass line, it's really special, dirty and very powerful in its energy. I wish I would hear more shoegaze songs written that way in the future, because this bass line is definitely not boring. What can we learn from this bass line? First of all, as you noticed, Alex Gearing chooses the higher notes here. You can also try to play it on the low notes, like... Sounds super evil and cool, but I think it's much more badass to go for the high notes. Because it sounds just so alien. I love it. And maybe this bass line makes you think out of the box for your next song. One of the first things I learned when I started to write my own bass lines was using octave slides. Octave slides are super powerful in a rock mix, and they sound like this. In 2015 I played in a shoegaze noise rock band called WILLOWS, and we wrote a song called Trauma that used only these 3 chords. But I wasn't satisfied with these chords because they sounded a bit boring, so I decided to make use of the octave slide. I also decided to switch a half step down from my second bass note to make this bass line more interesting, and then it sounded like this. With this, I want to tell you about the American shoegaze band AIRIEL. They released an album in 2017 or 2018 that is called Molten Young Lovers. The album starts with a song that is called This Is Permanent. There's a really cool electronic beat in the beginning, and then they fade into a super powerful shoegaze groove with an amazing ethereal guitar sphere that consists out of chorus and flanger and delay. There is a very simple bass line in it that makes use of these octave slides. It sounds like this. For the bass sound, I just used some virtual distortion into a virtual bass amp by Kuasa again. I chose here the California bass cabinet and mixed it with the DI signal of the bass. I think this is because it sounds very warm and fat here. It's really nice. For the drums I used Addictive Drums too. I really love the drum samples here. They sound really natural, and I chose an indie rock preset here for the drum sound, and it's just amazing to recreate the song. What can we learn here? Yeah, always remember the octave slide. It doesn't necessarily need to be an octave slide. If you have notes that are very distant from each other, like 9 half steps or 10 and a half steps, then try to slide to them and maybe you get something interesting out of it. Another example would be Lollipop, a song by ASTROBRITE, where Scott Cortis plays the bass like this. He slides to all the notes that he's playing, and that makes this bass line much more interesting, so always remember the slides. The following bass line that I want to show you is probably the most advanced one. If you know a little bit about funk music, you may know that funk bass players using their fingers for their bass lines. Let's say something like this. But I guess this bassline is using a plectrum. In 2010, a band called SOUNDPOOL, which is now the Stargazer Lilies, released an album which is called Mirrors in Your Eyes. And this album is a mixture out of dance music and shoegaze, which is really interesting. There are really cool dance beats and bass lines in it. And I want to focus on the song Kite of Love, where the bass player is making use of alternate picking, something like this. But he's using his hand to mute the notes a bit. And sometimes he's also creating some breaks by muting the whole note, like. Then he's playing this melody. Combined together, it's creating this funky riff here. Before I tell you more about it, first listen to the song in the context. The guitar player of SOUNDPOOL is layering 2 guitars here, and there's also a synth player in the band who is playing some lead notes. To imitate the synth, I played these lead notes with my guitar and recorded it in the same guitar section here. Here are the separate takes. And I also created this beat with Addicted Drums too, and together with the bass line it would sound like this. This bass line is not just interesting because of its melody and its groove and its technique. It's also really cool because if you listen to the record you can hear some flanger on the line, and with this flanger sound it's creating this alien-like funk feeling. Yeah, just try to use some modulation effects like chorus, phaser and flanger on your bass line if you think there is some additional depth or just some interesting movement missing. Effects like flanger, phasers and rotary chorus stuff can be very helpful and interesting, and they also sounding more modern and fresh, I'd say. And they also can give bass lines a very modern, fresh and futuristic touch, which I personally really love. This is all I want to tell you about SOUNDPOOL. I also want to use the chance to talk about a very underrated shoegaze artist from Japan. The artist is called Tomoya Shiono and he has a band project that is called SOURIN. Meanwhile, he's an online friend of mine, as we also work together on a song. This song is called Izayoi. It means something like 16 nights. For his guitar sounds, he often used distortion, fuzz, something like that. A vibrato effect that lets his guitar sound out of tune. And on top of that, or before the distortion, I'm not sure, he's using a pitch shifter to create additional notes to his single notes. I guess it's a 7th note here. For this song, he layered 5 guitars. I tried to recreate it here. On the lead line is also some delay in the end, and all together combined, you can really say it's a wall of sound. When you listen to SOURIN, you also get the feeling that he likes dance beats, but he loves to distort them. His music is definitely sounding like a overdriven tape machine, which is really cool and very shoegazy. So it's a very creative artist from Japan, and you should definitely check out his music. The bass line I want to show you of this song, it's not really complicated, but it gives you this meditative mood. This is why I want to show it to you. It's really low sounding, so I will turn my tone knob down so we have more of the low frequencies than of the high frequencies. It goes like this. Again, I'm using my Kuasa bass amp here with some slight distortion in front of it. This is the whole line, and he loops it all the time, combined with his dance beat. Before I tell you what we can learn from this bass line, check out how it sounds in the context. If you listen to the wall of sound, you would probably guess you have to support this line with a D note. But he chooses not to do that. He chooses to start from a C sharp, which gives the whole wall of sound a completely new feeling. Although his bass note here is a C sharp, he starts 2 seminotes before that. And yeah, then he combines this with some additional notes to create this bass line here. I think this is really fun to play, especially in a live situation, because this line has something driving and meditative at the same time, and it sounds cool. I don't know, I really like it. What I want to show you with this bass line is a bass line doesn't have to be super complicated to be interesting, you know? Sometimes you just play the same quarter notes in a loop and give a guitar sphere a whole new feeling. For me, bass is the storyteller in a song. When I personally write bass lines, I always want a bass to tell a story to the listener. In shoegaze music, I personally want to fall into this heavenly guitar ambient sounds. But I also want to listen to a story, and I want to get a certain feeling. And I think this is what the bass is creating in shoegaze music. A bass line needs to sing, and I still get the feeling that many musicians underrate bass as a melodic hook element in music. I think bass should be used more often as the main hook in music, as it's a super powerful element that is used very rarely, so it's still interesting. And I hope I could inspire you guys here a little bit with this video of how to use the bass line in a shoegaze song especially. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and also hit the bell button next to the subscribe button to keep up to date with new shoegaze content. If you like the songs I shared, I put you the links to all the songs in the description below, so as the affiliate links to the VST plugins, and also links to my personal music projects like Down in Willows and Uncanny Valleys, in which I also make use of all these bass playing tips I just shared with you guys. And if you're interested, I also designed some shoegaze t-shirts, my Bloody Valentine style, and many other shoegaze designs, just if you're interested. You would really support my channel with that. Have fun creating new music, and please feel free to share some songs in the comment section below in which you like the bass lines. If you're interested in learning new musical skills in general, I also write articles for the New Yorker music blog Soundfly. They offer brilliant courses around all topics of songwriting, beat creating, guitar playing, and for sure also about bass playing. If you're interested in one of those courses, I put you a discount link also in the description below. Yeah, thanks for watching again, keep on gazing, and I hope I see you next time again. Bye bye.